Today's daf is daf kuf mem hey. So just a quick recap. So we introduced the idea of shishbainis. What that is it used to be a custom that in order to help people defray the costs of the wedding, so the custom was as follows: that we say Reuven was a chassan, Shimon came to the wedding, was invited to the wedding, and from Algamot it seems that not only to the wedding but to all the parties, seven brachas, and then Shimon would bring money. According to most Pashman, it has to be money as a gift. And the purpose of the money was to help you defray the costs of the wedding. But it wasn't a gift. It was a business transaction. In return, when Shimon one day will get married, I'll go to the chasna, I'll go to Shabrachas, and I will give him a present of money to help him defray. And in fact, if I don't do that, he can take me to the Torah and collect the money, because it's really considered a loan, which we'll learn later in today's Gemara. It's considered a loan. So the question is, the father, let's say Yaakov, was invited to a wedding. Somebody else outsider on a wedding, called the guy an outsider. He sends his son Reuven to go to the wedding. The son Reuven participated in the wedding. He sent presents with Reuven, and now this Yaakov, when Reuven becomes a chassan, Yaakov now has to come to Reuven's wedding and give a present. But the father died. Is Reuven the one who is going to receive now the total money of that present, or do we say it's a debt to the estate? So the Mishnah said, the Pashtus, that if the father sent the son, it's the father really. So it belongs to the household and they have to divide it equally. But then we found a Braisa where it says that if he sent the son, that money eventually goes only to the son when the son gets married. So we tried to reconcile the two. So we have a few answers. One is we changed Pshat in our Mishnah. Our Mishnah is actually talking about like the Braisa, it's all the way around. That in fact, if he sent one son, that son is the beneficiary of the future present. It's only if the other way around, where that person came to the father's family for a simcha, and now the father owes that person return, even though it was the son's Reuven's simcha, but the father who invited that person to the wedding, the father paid for the wedding, he invited his friend to come to his son's wedding, which is what happens, and his son and that person came, gave presents, participated. So now they owe money to that person. When that person becomes a chassan, then it's the household. Then everyone has it's the household. So everyone has to pay because it's all to do with the father. So we turn to swap the pshat in the Mishnah. That's one answer. But another answer the Gemara is a couple of answers, but we'll just go quickly. Shmuel came along and answered no. Our Mishnah Braisa talking about the same case. So how come? But take the Mishnah literally. Our Mishnah says that when the person brings a present, it goes to the entire household, shared by everybody. Why? If the father sent Reuven to go to the chasna, and the halacha, like the Braisa, that when that person, the outside becomes a when Reuven becomes a chassan, that person has to give the money to the Reuven. What's going on here? So how come the Mishnah says he divided equally? What happened was Reuven died. Reuven the chassan died, and he died. So his brother, the Yavam, steps in. Right, and now that person there is that person there owes money, is a debt. He owes money because Reuven's family gave him money, so that person now owes a debt. The Yavam does not receive it because the Yavam, the Torah refers to the Yavam as a b'chor. And what did we learn before the Gemara regarding a b'chor? A b'chor does not has no chelik in row and potential debts to muchzik. Since that's only a debt, a milva, so therefore, even though by milva itself we had a machlekes, but this is even more remote than that. So the yavam does not get a special portion in that. So therefore, it's at proportion, it's divided among the whole family. So our Mishnah agrees that it should go only to Reuven, the one who actually went to the chasna. But the problem is Reuven died, and there's a yavam in our Mishnah, and that's what Shmuel says. The Mishnah. So Gemara asks a very simple question, and this is what the today's Gemara is all about. Gemara's question is: in that case, the deal is that Shimon comes, when Reuven comes to chassan, Shimon will come to the wedding and dance and brachas. But there's no wedding. Reuven is not going to get married. So why should Shimon pay anything at all? The debt only comes to fruition when there's a chassan to come back to. But since Reuven is died, what's going on here? And we bring a raya that's a valid taina. If a man marries or gets engaged to a woman, does Edison with a woman, and then the marriage doesn't proceed. So if the minig is that the kedushin that she received goes back to the husband, it has to go back. But then it comes along Rabbi Yosef and says, but it depends. If the reason why it didn't proceed is because the husband decided, you know what, I'm not interested, got cold feet, walks away. So then the woman says, I'm not giving back the kedushin. I'm ready to get married. If the husband dies, she says, look, I'm ready to get married. I'm ready to complete the deal. I'm not giving anything back. Give me my husband. I'll marry him. But he's dead. Too bad. So it's a valid taina. So it's so therefore we say about the Yavam, why should he pay back? So more answers, the reason why that stranger has to pay the Yavam is talking about that Reuven was alive, got married, had Shabbat brachas. You don't pay that gift until it's all over. You want to make sure you got your money's worth until it's all over. But he died, the last night of Shabbat brachas. So therefore they never collected the money. But who's there? The Yavam. Now the Yavam took over straight away. So therefore the Yavam does not get the money personally. You have to divide it in the whole time. And there is a dead here because Reuben actually did get married. Okay, that's the Gemara. So now we're going to focus on this thing of Kedushin. Says the Gemara. So you said, and now we're going to analyze 3 lines on the top of the page of Kuf Mem Hey Amad Al. Gemara. The Gemara says, actually more than 3 lines, 5 lines. Says the Gemara, 4 lines. Lema, let us say, Tunu li baili ve'esmech imai. This that Rabbi Yosef said that. That if the husband died, she can say, "I'm not giving the. I don't give the minute to give it back. I'm not giving it back because I'm ready to complete the deal. Truly, Bailey, give me back my husband, even though he passed away. I'll rejoice with him. It seems that argument is, if it's a valid argument, not is an argument of Tanai. The time we look in the Braisa. If somebody, let's say, he gets engaged with a woman. Now the din is the ksuba normally comes in only after you get married. But when it comes to Erison, it depends. If the meaning hamakim is that you have ksuba even by Erison, then there's a ksuba as well then. So therefore, the marriage falls apart, she receives a ksuba. Or in the case where he actually wrote a ksuba. It wasn't a meaning, but the husband wrote her a ksuba. So Hama'adazi, she got her engaged and then broke off. Psula gave him a sign. She's entitled to $200. Almana, 100 zuz. Mokim shenagu laharzi kedushin marzin. If the minig is that if the marriage falls apart, she has to return the ring or whatever it is that he gave her, it has to give it back. If the minig is not to return it, the kedushin, so no, it all depends on the minig. Comes along Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, and he seems to be saying exactly the same thing. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, in truth, I can tell you, if the minig give it back, give it back. What's showing Mother? Rabbi Yehuda had aren't they saying the same thing? If the minig is the marriage dissolved, you give the kedusha back, fine. If the minig is not to give back, don't give it back. Ella must be there's something missing here. Lav tunu li baili ve'esmat ima ikimnai. You know what the machlekes is? If the husband died, and the question is, does the kedusha have to go back or not? The machlekes is, does she have a valid argument? I am ready to continue with the deal. I'm not giving anything back. The chsudi mechsen, actually a couple of words missing. This is how you should learn the brisa. Hamada says psula, if somebody gets a woman engaged and then it dissolves, psula gave him a sign. She's entitled to collect 200. It's the husband who decided to divorce her. If she died, so therefore it's nobody's fault. She died. So then what happens? So it depends. Malkim Shanoga, then it depends on the minig. Malkim Shanoga lahachze marzin. If the minig hamokim is to give it back, fine. And Malkim Shanoga shaloi lahachze ein marzin. The Rishonim already asked, but there's a Rishalmi that says, a famous Rishalmi that says that minig oiker halacha. That minig could overturn halacha. How far do we take that? Actually, there's a beautiful Magen Avraham in Yichud Purim. I think Tafret Tzaddik Aleph. At the end, gives some of the rules about what the strength of a minig is and when do we say minig is stronger than halacha. Some people say that the word, I forgot who says it, the word minig is the word Gehenim, same letters. And therefore, either if you don't follow Minhagim, you go to Gehenim, or you have wrong Minhagim, you go to Gehenim. Each one says whatever they want to say. But minig ayik halacha, so the Rishonim want to say, define it, that when do we say minig ayik halacha if it's sort of a weak halacha? No, it's not with such certitude. So then they say minig ayik halacha. Or in Dini Mominus, we know that you can make a Tanai. Rabbi Yehuda says you can make a Tanai, because you're Meichel. So by Dini Mominus, if the entire city decided that in Dini, even though Halacha says in Dini Mominus it should be X, Y, Z. However, the entire city decided to have a different minig, it becomes like a Tanai in Momin, and it's valid. That's what the Rishalmi means. So they're limiting the Rishalmi. And so they gave it here. What's the Halacha regarding Kedusha? If the Halacha says the Kedusha go back, who cares what minig hamakim is? What do you mean when the Kedushin goes back and not goes back? What's the halacha say? Can you keep it? You can't keep it. As we'll soon see, there's a machlekes in halacha as well. So they want to say that maybe this halacha is not such a strong halacha. Or in Dini Mamanis, it doesn't really matter if the entire, interesting, kol b'nei yid, the lashon they use, has to join in. Okay, so that was like this. So if she died, we look at the minig hamakom. But now this is the part we're adding in. V'davka shemesi, if she died, our mesu, if he died, and she's ready to continue. That's the machlekes of Nosson and Rabbi Yehuda Nossi. So Rabbi Nosson says, so he says, "Ein marzidin." In this case, you don't have to get back my timer. Yechayli timer. Rabbi Nosson says she can say, "Truly buy the I'm not giving it back. I can keep it." Forget minig hamakom. Not with minig hamakom. If she is ready to continue and the husband is dead, you can't force her to give the kedushin back. Because Rabbi Yehuda Nossi Meimer, and Rabbi Yehuda Nossi says, "No, the truth is, we always look at minig hamakom. I don't care, even though she has a taina, it's not a valid taina. The fact is that the kedushin didn't go ahead. Bain Mace who, Bain Mace he, I don't care who died. Makish no hazard marzin. If the meaning is to bring it, to turn kedushin, you give it back. Makish no hazard ein marzin. But like matcha amran, I don't believe that she has a valid claim to what to newly buy leave esabich. What means to buy leave? The fact is you're not getting married. So if the meaning of makim is you return kedushin, you return kedushin. That's the machlekes. So this point that you said before, that Yosef said before, as if the Dover Pshit is that she has this argument, and she said, "I'm holding it, giving my husband back," is actually a machlekes tonight. Sorry.
Same thing.
What?
If he was alive, he would marry you. He's not alive.
Yeah, but she has it. She's a muhzik. You want to take it away from her. So you want to take it away from her on what basis? She says, "I'm ready to continue." It's different there. You say we want to be mitzi. You must know Rabbi Yosef's din is according to everybody. Like no, Kuli Alma, everyone. Rabbi Yosef said the din. Let's say that Rabbi Yosef said right. There's no argument. Yochayla, a woman can say Tanuli Baili Esachimai. If the husband died, she keeps the money. Udemis who Kuli Alma Pligig. If he died, there's no argument. So what's the machlek? Is there because it doesn't make sense? But I said they're both saying the same thing. Ki pligi shemei sahi. She died. No. What's the machlek? If she died, then why should she keep the kedushin? The Yoshim say we want to keep the kedushin. On what basis? Can't say that if the man be alive, he's there, and she's not going ahead with it. So why isn't he entitled to get the kedushin back in this case? So he said like this. They're arguing in halacha. When you give kedushin, is it like when tula b'yamsuf? Is it like sunk in? It's it. It remains that way. Once you gave it, it's there. You didn't make any tanoim. You didn't make any condition. The fact is you mekadosh her, and therefore the money is hers. And if she dies, it goes to the yisayimim or not. That's the machlekes. That is machlekes. Rav Nosson holds kiddushin lavli tibuinit. So where does minik makom lahaza not come in? We'll soon see. Rav Nosson says kedushin lavli tibuinit. Kedushin are not there to remain forever. So therefore, we look at minik makom. Whatever the minig is, minig you're back, minig not you're back. If she dies, you don't get back. But Rabbi Yehuda Nossi says kedushin litibuyin nitnu. Rabbi Yehuda Nossi says no, kedushin are there la'olam void. If she dies, it remains with the family. I look at the words of Rabbi Yehuda Nossi. He says clearly to do with the minig hamakim. Where's minig coming? V'ha makim shenhagu lahachzir. Not for kedushin. There's something else that happens. It's a thing called sivloinos, presence. And these presents, once you get engaged, we always send the flowers, but these are more serious presents that you give a presents thing that you can use. Those presents you're giving her because you want to get married to her. That it depends on minig hamakom. If it didn't work out, do you return it or not? So Rabbi Yehuda holds there's no minig hamakom when it comes to the kedushin money. If she dies, kedushin l'tibuyin nitnu, the kedushin is there to remain with her forevermore. It stays in the family in the Yerusha. And the minig hamakom is only regarding sivlinus. The hamakom nogel lahavzim marzidik tani hachikam. The sivlinus presence, vade hamakom nogel lahavzim marzidik. Presence is something you give back, and we'll learn more about sivlinus later on. Says the Gemara tomorrow. The handi tanoi kana tanoi. In fact, these tanoi, whether kedushin or tibuyin or not, is a machlekes of other tanoim. No, but as far as her having, if he dies and she says, "I'm ready to get married. I'm not giving it back." She doesn't have to give it back. She said, "Truly, give my husband, and I'll rejoice with him." What's this other machlekes you're trying to match it up with? The Tanya of the Braisa. Kitcha, big kicker, was very generous. He gave her a kicker, according to the Rashbam, others argue, is 25 sloim. He gave her 25 sloim. And Besula, okay, now what happened was, it didn't work out. Gemara will explain the right. Right now, it's very cryptic. Basula gave him a sign. The Basula collects 200, 100. Divid What's he collecting for? He just gave a kedusha. What happened there? We'll soon see. Rabbi Yehuda says, he argues. Basula gave him a sign, gives back the rest. Obviously, the marriage fell apart. So what's going on here? We'll get back what rest. So we'll see in a minute. And Rabbi Yehuda says, I'm not sure. So Kitcha be'esim, if he gave her 20 shkolim and 8 shekel is 4 dinim. If he gave her 20 shkolim and each shekel is 4 dinim, so he gave her the value of 80. Nois and law has to give a further shloisha chatzayin, another. Well, there's 4 dinim in a shekel. Half a shekel is 2. Another 30 times 2 is 60. 80, got to give another 60. In other words, Rabbi Yehuda is saying, I don't know what the halach is. Now, what are we talking about? We'll see in a minute. Kitcha b'shleishim, if he gave it 30 shkalim, which is equivalent of 120 dinarin, then noisula esach has to give only what do you call it? Only 20 halves, which is 20 more. Make it 140. I'm asking, what's going on here? Where's ksuba coming in? They're getting married, you just said. Let's say we're talking about that she died. Why is he getting ksuba at all? There's no ksuba if she dies. The ksuba is only if the husband dies first or the husband divorces her. There's no ksuba if she dies first. That's why we learn beginning of Makkah how you value a woman who sells a ksuba, because it's a big risk. Because if she dies first, the purchaser got nothing. We had a few days moving more. Shemes that what happened that he died. Okay, he died. She's entitled to a ksuba. So what's going on? Shar. What shar? Amai marzeres lo yesashar. If he died, what does he give me back? What's the shar? The namer, we just said before, shar b'chayla means he gave her a nice kedushin, right? He gave her a kicker, gave her a big amount. A kicker that we said before is 25 shkolim. So what do you call? So what exactly is Marzil the shar? L'chayla, she says, I'm ready to get married. He died. We just passed that everyone agrees. She can keep the money. Why give anything back? So what's going on here? What is it? The name letter say to be by so you know what we're talking about here. There's a ksuva, and yet she has to give back the rest. The ella be'echi, so she's insa. She was mazana, so therefore he divorces her. There's a ksuva, and he has to give back the rest. There's no truly by. The husband's alive. What's going on here? She's mazana deliberately. She committed adultery. Then me is ksuva. She forfeits ksuva. Why is ksuva at all? Navas, but honest, she was raped. If she was raped, you live together. Why b'chal ksuva? They can live together. What happened here? And if he divorces her, it's irrelevant the fact that she was raped. And the same question goes back. If he divorces her, why should she get back a shah? She can say, I'm ready. Maybe she's only engaged. I'm ready to get married. Ella be'eshes koyin. We're talking about the wife of a koyin shenensa. So she cannot live with the husband anymore, but it's not her fault. So she's entitled to a ksuva. She's entitled to a ksuva. But the fact is they're not going ahead with the marriage. And the question is, the argument is, he gave her kedushin. Even though halacha does not allow this, it's not her fault at all. Halacha does not allow them to get married. Do we say that the kedushin remains with her or not? And that's the machlekes. Rameya saw about kedushin l'tibuin remains with her, so she gets a ksuva and that's it, and she keeps also the kedushin. Rabbi Yehuda saw a lav l'tibuin. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Rabbi Yehuda says that while that kedushin is not there for it, does not remain with her, and therefore she gets the ksuva, and that's it. And the rest, the kedushin money, since they're not going ahead with the marriage, she has to give it back. We're talking about she was only engaged. And now Rabbi Yossi misapkali, he doesn't know. Rabbi Yossi doesn't know. And again, we don't say here kesumchas, which again the Rishonim used to prove that the halacha is Stam Gemara is always like sumchas. And others who don't agree always try to explain how each case, even the Rabbanan, will be made in this particular case. Okay, so this is what happened there. We're not sure what the halacha is. Does she have to get back to Lushan? Or not? So let's say he was Mekadesh her with Esrim, let's say Mekadesh her with Esrim Shkolim, which is the equivalent of this 4 months. That's 80. And now, if since it's a suffix, she can keep half of it, 40. But as a ksuva, it's entitled, we're talking now a case of Almana. So she's entitled to 100. She's entitled to 140. So he has to give her a total of 140. So therefore, in that case here, so no, if you're Mekadesh, if you already received Esim, which is 80, Noisin, how much does he have to give her now? Shloishim Chatzayin. which is 15, which is what do you call it? It has to give 30 chatzayin, which is the equivalent of what is it? Is 30 chatzayin, which is 60. Half shekel is 2 mana. So 30 times 2 is 60. 60 plus 8 is 140. So she's covered the ksuva and covered half of the kedusha, because Abiyasi didn't know kedusha l'tibuyin or not l'tibuyin itna. And therefore, Kitcha b'shloishim, if he gave a 30 mana, which is equivalent to 120, all now she's short is 20 to get to 140. Because 100 for the ksuva, and and he gave her 120, half of 120, 60. So she has to get 116 total, 100 for the ksuva, and half of what he gave the kedusha, she can keep the 60. She needs a total of 160, but she already has 120. So all she needs now is another 40. So noishla esim chatzayim, another 20 times 2 is 40. So we see this is the machlekes. So we have two opinions: if kedushin l'tibuyin or not l'tibuyin. If you hold that kedushin is not l'tibuyin, then we look at the minig hamakim. So what's the minig? Should give it back? Should not give it back? If you hold that kedushin l'tibuyin, then once you give kedushin, it stays there forever. I don't care what happens. Then the minig hamakim has no relevance. Oh no, it is. But we just use an example of Amon. We're using an example of Amon. It's simple, but to be the same thing. Yeah. If the minig is you give it back, you give it back. The targum nedoi, and we would say that Rab Nachman is talking about nedoi. In other words, what's Rab Nachman saying? I hold that kedushin is lav l'tibuyin. I hold the kedushin is not meant to remain with her forever, and therefore it's totally minig hamakom. However, if the husband dies, then she has a valid taina. I'm keeping the whole thing because give me my husband back to Bailey and I'll dance with him. Otherwise, she keeps the whole thing. But in all other cases, if she dies, divorces, in that case over there, what do you call it? We look at the minig hamak because kedushin lav l'tibuyin. What about the rest of the cities in Bava? Do we say that there's a minig in one place and other places have no minig? Do they automatically follow along or no? They both say, Moi Hari, this is what they say. Moi Hari Hodri. Moi Hari are the presents you give. And the Rashbam and others explain that two kinds of presents you give. There's one present you give because we're going to learn the same thing later on about Savlanis. There's one present you give after you get married, you start giving her presents. And the other present you give is presents that you want her to bring to the house when eventually we settle in, but you want to give her confidence that you're going to live a comfortable life. So you start sending her things that not for her to use right now, but for her to bring to the into the family home when they get married. Remember, those days were 12 months apart. So you have to start collecting and saving, buying dishes and everything else, and all those things. Yeah. The word maya means quick. So the maya is the first of lives, which you do quickly straight away. You give her presents for herself to use. Okay, so that is what we're talking about over here. Those presents, they go back. If the kedushin falls apart, they go back. I only gave it to you because we're going to get married. Out of love. No love. Give it back. Or the Kedushin Lahaji. Kedushin, they don't go back. They don't go back. Why don't Kedushin go back? Is it because they hold that Kedushin is Tibuyin? They hold that Kedushin remains forever and stays there? Comes along at Papa and he says, no. Hilchas, the halacha is Bain Shemes Hu, Bain Shemesi and who died. The Behu, or if he changes his mind, Moyhari Hodri, Kedushin Lahadri. That the Moyad, the Sivloin is the present, they go right back, but the Kedushin will go back. Or Hodra Be'i, if she's the one who changed the mind, if she said, I don't want to get married, then I think Kedushin, she should get back to Kedushin. Now, if Kedushin is Tibuyin, why should she get back to change her mind? The whole bunch of Kedushin Tibuyin, at the moment of Kedushin, it was real, it's hers. If you change your mind later, why does she get it back? So it must be that Papa also, this is how most of Shem learned, that Papa also holds that it's Kedushin lav tibuininu, but it's the minig, that the minig is, and he's pasking, the minig, the rest of Babel is, you always give it back, except if she changes her mind. Others learn that Papa says, no, that Kedushin is tibuininu. And if Kedushin is tibuininu, so how come she changes her mind? If Kedushin is tibuininu, that's why we don't care if he dies or she dies, we don't care what happened, or if he changes her mind, she gets to keep the whole time. But why, if she changed her mind, does she give it back? You know why? There's a few explanations. One of them is a penalty. It would counseling her. Really, technically, she can keep the money because Kedushin is tibuin, but because she is not nice, that he gave all this money thinking that they're going to get married, and now that she changed her mind, she should give it back. So that's what or others say it's like tantamount to making it tonight. I'm giving it to you so that you proceed with it. But if you don't, no. So comes along Ameima, he says, Akadusha lahadri. Ameima says, Kadushim don't go back. Even if she changes her mind, don't go back. Not because I disagree with you in halacha. I agree with you in halacha. Because of the Gzeda, and according to the Machronim, he made the Gzeda right then and there. Because in the Tanoim don't mention all the Gzeda. He comes along, and Amein Masbezin made a Gzeda. And that is, we're worried, people will see the Kedushin goes back. They'll think they've never engaged in the first place. Why did the Kedusha go back? They'll think the whole thing is a Mekartos. If it's a Mekartos, then this man can marry, you can't marry the sister of your wife. Or even a Kedusha. But if we see that she has to give the Kedushin back, we will think that there was no Kedushin in the first place. Not that there was Kedushin, but we're penalizing her that she has to, because she changed her mind, that you have to give back the Kedushin. We'll think that this is means that all along was never and the problem will happen that she will marry the sister. Even though he knows it was Kedushin, first of all, he might make the mistake himself. Or others will think that if he gave Kedushin to the sister, they'll think that he's Mekudesh, even though he knows that he is not, because he knows he's Mekudesh. And then if the sister receives Kedushin from another person, everyone will think that she's not engaged to the other person because she's engaged to this guy. And really, she will be engaged to the other person because his Kedushin was not Chal. So all kinds of problems can happen. Come to Rav Ashi said, what are you talking about? Gita Mechichel, everyone knows there's a get. Sometimes the Berusi, it's not correct. Ravashi probably didn't say it, or we don't understand him. Maybe they heard about that she gave the Gusha money back, which is a lot more exciting than a divorce, because how often do you hear that the ring that she got for the Gedushin, she had to give it back? So that they'll all hear, and they'll make the assumption that they were never married, and they won't hear that, by the way, the husband gave a divorce. Because if they heard the husband gave a divorce, then obviously there was Kedushin there. What are you giving a divorce if there's no Kedushin? Says you motivate the talk about Shusman. There are 5 things said about Shusman. The most interesting thing, and you should know that even the Shulchan says on this. By the way, this is not Buddha. Shulchan says that B'Yosef writes in the Shulchan itself. He says there, I'm not going to tell you the dinner of Shusman because we don't have this whole concept that people come to a wedding with a present to pay for their eating, and I'm doing it only condition that you come to my wedding. That whole arrangement didn't happen. But interesting in Hilchos Havelis, where it talks about what you're allowed to go, you're not allowed to go. So it says over there, but a simchas mereus, which some people actually touch mereus is this. But the shachlin, the mereus is that used to be the same idea. I'll invite you for Shabbos. It's like as a business deal. I'll invite you for Shabbos meal with your family, but you must invite me for a Shabbos meal with the family. And therefore, because it's not pleasure, it's a business arrangement, then maybe you could go. Maybe you could go, maybe you can't go. So you had, even today, because Shulchan brings out today, that this concept where it's not out of love and affection, it's more out of convenience or business arrangement. You take care of me, I'll take care of you. Interesting life they had. That's true, but it's so cold. It's so I don't know what word is used. It's not. It's no. Very clinical. That's what it is. It's very clinical. Friendship is a clinical thing. Everything was an arrangement. That's what it sounds like. It's 5 dinim said about Shuzman. First of all, I can go to Bezin to demand my presents, money. I'm not chayiv you unless the right time. What's the right time? When you get married. If you don't get married, you remain single the rest of your life. I don't have to give you anything. There's no ribbis. Why is no ribbis? I'm not giving you because I don't treat it like a loan, even though it is technically a loan. I don't treat it like a loan. You're my friend. I'm giving it to you not because I owe you money. I'm giving it to you because I want to give you. You're my friend. And if I give you more than you gave me, so what? Obviously, didn't have the idea of inflation in those days and all that. Because not really treated like a loan, shvius. Shemitah normally comes the you owe me money. Comes Shemitah, gets canceled unless we go. We do prusbul and all that kind of stuff. We had a machlekes and makas. If I give you a loan for 10 years and it obviously bypasses Shemitah, whether Shemitah cancels or not, because those who say lo yigos, you're not allowed to approach, but I can't approach anyway. Why can't I? Because there's a general question. If you owe me $100 and you have to pay me in 30 days, so what's pshat? Is the pshat you owe me the money today, but I cannot demand it from you for 30 days? Or the pshat that you don't owe me money yet at all? The chiv only kicks in 30 days. So if you learn you owe me the money straight away, then comes Shemitah, it cancels it, even though doesn't fall due until a year after Shemitah. But if the pshat is that you don't owe me the money now at all, The chiyuv only starts on the due dates. Well, during Shemitah, there was no chayiv. And that's why the Gemara is a machlekes. We'll see in Gemara right in the beginning. So this loan is treated that way. The chiyuv is not there unless the guy gets married. If there's no marriage, there's no chiyuv. So it's not like a real loan. Anyway, and a b'choy does not take collect. We just looked about the yavam. A b'choy is not entitled to it because it's not muhzik. It's only road. Now the more explain. My time I can move with them. It's like a loan. I'm not giving you because it's a loan. I'm thanking you for lending you money. This is because out of love, out of a friendship. You cannot call it layigois. Tosha has a problem with the way I just told you that Rashbam says the layigois mean because I cannot approach you until I get married. So therefore, it's not really layigois. Tosha says you're taking one side. Then when the Gemara Marcus says there are two opinions, and why are you taking only one side? So Tosha learns there's no layigois here because every choy I definitely owe you the money. First, I'm going to have to pay to you. Here, it could be I never owe to you. If you don't get married, I owe you nothing. So that's why there's no Shemitah here having an effect. Because everybody, who said it'll ever be alone? So it's not shaykh to call it layigois, don't approach him. For what? Because only a potential. The rule of Shushan is as follows: if the person who owes now the money is in town, and the person you gave that you originally gave you the presents is a chasana, that new chassan. If you're in the same town as that chassan, you should have gone to the wedding. Shama and you have to go and pay up. You can't say I'm not in the mood. You have a chiyuv to go to the wedding, participate, and pay up. Shama kotavla. They used to have a bell to ring, as if everybody's invited to the chasna. You should have come. You didn't get a personal invitation. If you're a real friend, who needs personal invitations? Like the Sfas Emes writes about Kamsa. Loi shama kol tavla. You didn't hear the ring. Then you have a boile the chassan. In other words, you're a bit further out of town, and you have no idea. So the chassan really has a duty of care to send you a message, an invitation. Tarum is this. If he doesn't, you have kindness to him. But Shlum Mishah, you still have to pay the present. And we just said before that if the chassan is not alive, you don't pay because there's no chasna. But over here, you could have come. As the Ramban explains. Over here, you could have come. There was a wedding. No, boss, you didn't show up. Maybe it's your fault, maybe it's not your fault, but a wedding happens, the chiyuv kicked in. But since the main reason of the money changing hands is to help defray the cost of feeding you, but I wasn't there, so I don't have to pay as much. You gave me $100 because you were there, you participated in the chasna and the things. I don't have to pay as much. So ba'at kama, how much do I pay you? Amar Abaye said, no good began. The Shusban used to have a custom, and that is that ad zuzah Aisa bekape, ochle bekase. If he gave you a present of a zuz basically covers the food. So therefore, since you didn't eat, you don't pay anything. Adabo, if he gave you a present of 4 zuz, which is far more. But this is very interesting. I mean, just try to picture this. You would tell the chassan, that's what it seems from here, I'm paraphrasing, how much money you plan to give as a present. And then he would tell the caterer, so Yankel is giving me a zuz, you give him yesterday's bread and herring. So Shmuel is giving 2 zuz, you give him a filter fish. This guy's giving 4 zuz, you give him a stick of chicken. And this guy is giving a lot more than that. Everyone you gave according to what it is. So, actually, there used to be a takana, I think not Yehuda, that if you, depending on how much tzedakah you gave, that's the kind of wedding you can have. So it's a little bit different. Not how much presents they gave you, but you're the balbas. If you gave very little tzedakah, you're only allowed to have 10 people at your chasna and so on. If you gave more tzedakah to the town, you can have 100 people, and you can only have basics. And if you gave whatever you're supposed to give, then you can have flesh and invite as many people as you want. We had this promise. Says the Gemara, if let's say you gave 4 zuz, he probably gave you a more generous meal, the value of 2 zuzim, and 2 zuzim is a gift. So you owe him 2 zuzim now because you're not eating. If you give more than 4 zuzim, you have to estimate if you would give 10 zuzim, what kind of meal would he have given you? Might have cost 5 zuzim, so you give him 5. You deduct the food part of it and you give him the rest. Turn around and learn. Also, he might now. What about This guy is very skimpy, and I gave him the most expensive catering. I made a beautiful chasna, and this guy over here, does a catering from home, and herring and pickles. So, how does it work? You have to give the same he gave me. There's very long this. And it's also, I have to feel this. I have a right to argue that you gave me a certain level of, I gave you a certain level of simcha. I want to have the same level of simcha, in order for me to pay whatever it is that you want to pay. So I remember, also, he made a public wedding. Now the other guy that I wants to make a very discreet, small little wedding, he can say, no, it's not part of the deal. But Pumbi Asimach, Kedasha Sisa Imi. I'll only do if you the same kind of wedding that I made. And Rashbam says, why Taka, interesting, Rashbam has been defending him. Why Taka is the guy making a small wedding? It's an ace tzara. Not because personally he wants it. It's a time of Xadis, whatever it is, and it's difficult. But then he gets another thing. He wants him with Samson. In logic, you can sort of understand the second reason. I made this beautiful wedding and a lavish wedding and blah, 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 and now you give me this. But if it's an ace tzara, nevertheless, the whole thing is so clinical. There's no heart or soul in any of this. So maybe I don't care why you're making a small wedding. I don't guess an ace tzara. The fact is, it's not par. I'm par to what I did. I don't have to pay that kind of money. I pay a lot less. Or I say me big last when I made the wedding, I married a psula, which the simcha is much greater. You married an almana. The simcha is far less. It's far less. So it's not the same kind. It's not on par. If you make a get married psula, I'll do the same thing. He invited him for the second marriage or second wife. Ubikish last is ima b'reshayna. Or the other way around. I went the first guy, he invited this guy for the second marriage, which was a smaller wedding or less simcha, and he's making the first marriage much more simcha. I can't handle so much simcha. Can't handle. I remember every time my parents came back from a wedding, and when I went to, and I loved the wedding, the music was beautiful. Freilich, my mother always came on. Oh, we were so loud. What a terrible night it was. Always so. I can't handle so much simcha. Like isha cheres, when you marry another wife, or I married one woman and you married two, or you married two at the same time, or you married one after another, but you want me to come both chasnas. It's two weddings. I made a wedding. One, you wanted two. For one wedding, yes, but not for two. So all of these times. Now you talk about, you make a distinction between a wedding that's lavish or not lavish, public, versus a discreet wedding. It's part of what we learned. Saying, if somebody is very wealthy, and everybody knows about his wealth because he has a lot of cattle. Cattle roam around the streets. Everybody can see that he has a lot of cattle. That's an analogy or metaphor for Baal HaGoddess. People who say Agadata. We even had a story in the Gemara, two Amoraim, one Amoida said Pulpul, one said Agadata, and everybody came to hear the guy from Agadata. Another guy had the Filos HaMeichin, and nobody came to him. But Agadata is something in public. Everybody will go. It could be in a marketplace, it could be in a party, a nice word, a story, everybody's ready to hear. And Otir Sulaim, okay, you're rich with money. Either you have large bank accounts, or the Rambam learns, the other Rambam learns that you're a shulchani, you're a money changer, so you always have money. Otir Tekua, you're a real estate, according to some real estate magnate. You have a lot of real estate, but it's not so public. You have to go to the titles office to find out who owns all these buildings. So it's not in your eyes, not in your face. Zel Bal Pulpul. That's about Pulpul. What you have to heart of it, but a Pulpul, you always increase your understanding. But it's through hearting. It doesn't happen like automatic. It's not like God that just fools people. Yeah, that's the Ramban gives two pshat. I just say the pshat that is more basis. Universal. Then the third level is Otir Mashach. Let's say somebody who's wealthy, he has things that you have to usually measure. Like through a thing which is very, very, it's very hard to notice if the guy is doing very well or not doing well at all. Otir Karmas are things that he has a lot of, but it's sort of in his warehouse. Nobody knows what's going on there. These are Baal Shmuz. So there's different ways of learning Pshat. The Rambam learning Pshat is Baal Shmuz is There's no. I'm not gonna. It's just like things in my warehouse. You don't know what I have there until you put an order in and you get it. So if Punkta Maisa happens that this particular situation comes up and I know the din, you'll know that I know the din. But otherwise, you have no idea what I know of my knowledge. Or the other thing I learned, I don't really understand. I'm just repeating. I'm a parrot. I'm repeating what my Rebbe said. Baal Shemuz. Do I really understand what he said? No, I don't really understand. And so that's a muscle for that. Everyone requires this. We had one has a question of Rabbi Yosef and Rabba. You know, Iker Hadim Rabba can move mountains. Rabbi Yosef Everyone needs Rabbi Yosef. Yet we just learned yesterday that the halacha, the truth is, halacha is always like Rabba against Rabbi Yosef. So you need a head, you need a hin. But every time Machlekes Rabba Rabbi Yosef, we always passing like Rabba. Anyway, everyone needs the owner of the week. We need to sustain ourselves, and that is Gemara. Everyone needs the Gemara because you need to understand how to reconcile all the Mishnayos, understand what's going on. Because we look at Gemara Saita, that the who the Mabli Olam, those people who pass from a Mishnah. All the days of a poor person is poor. Is that about Talmud? Somebody learns Gemara. Somebody learns Gemara. Why? He never really understands it. You have to continuously learn and learn and learn, as we know. So takes us in Christus. That you learn a whole sugi here in Bava Basra. You think you really understand it, and then you find out in Yavamas, the Gemara sort of changes the whole thing, turns it around the head. That the whole Gemara Bava Basra only goes according to one Tana. But if you go to other Tana, it's all very different. You know? And that's so you never finish. You never finish. Zebal Talmud, the Toiv Leiv Mishnah Tamid, and who's happy? Zebal Mishnah. Guy loves Mishnah, so it's easier. The Mishnah is limited. Rabbi the Pumfakir, Mishnah, you don't really know what's going on. You think you know what's going on, but Gemara, you understand. Somebody who carries stones, will be depressed by them. But but somebody splits wood is Yisachim and Muslim about that. You learn a Mishnah, you don't feel good. You don't really understand. But Talmud, because you're learning and you understand. We bring this pasuk. All the poor person is bad. That's just what you should. If he has a wife that gives him a hard time, that's koyime anirayim. We actually had in Yavamas, Rav and Abchia, they all had bad wives, but all said nice things about them. He used to buy presents for her all the time, even though she gave him a very hard time. But the toiv leid mishta tamid zesh yes lisha toiv. So who's always happy? You have a good wife, then you're always happy. Rabbi Yana koyime anirayim is isness. Rabbi Yana said, no, arayim is isness. Somebody who's fastidious. You know, I remember I had a Rosh Yeshiva, no names. He used to come into the Beis HaMedrash, a massive room. But if he saw a piece of paper somewhere in the room, he went absolutely out of his mind. He went berserk. He just couldn't take it. Rabbi Yosef said, "Kul Yisbei," right? Rabbi Yosef said, all the chesronos, somebody has a terrible temper, somebody's an isness. He said, all these milas I have a hard time. But if you can tolerate everything, you're easygoing. Life is easy because nothing bothers you. Always everything that's every side of the world, it affects your heart. There's always sorrows around, so you never really, settled. But if you're a person that doesn't give a hoot about anybody else in the world, who cares? That person died. That person has no money for. Who cares? Then you have a good life. Nothing bothers you. Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Amar Koli Me'ani Roim Zeshe Daitik Tzara. So that there's somebody who can't forgive, who can't take that someone else is successful. My father used to say, "Eza Asha Samei B'Chelka." So when we teach you Samei B'Chelka, you're happy. You're a lot, no matter what it is. My father would say, "Eza Asha Samei B'Chelka." You're happy someone else's lot. Let them have whatever she gave them, and I'm happy for them. What do you call it? And was very great. What do you mean all the days are bad? You get, even if you get from the Tamchu, you get more meals, you get more fed, and people invite you. Kishmul said, you never win. We have Basanim Anya. That they never win. Why? Because they eat a lot more on Shabbos and now they have a stomachache. That when you have a Shina Veses, that's the beginning of sickness of your, takes out the word Maimir. Chayli is the beginning of sicknesses. And Ksib says Ben Sida, who is supposed to be, according to the Chayki brings in the beginning of Shulchan, that he was the daughter of Yirmiyah, was the bathtub. And then the Sheikh was that of Yirmiyah and then gave birth, and that's Ben Sida. And that's what using halacha talking about it. IBF and all that's the consequences. Call you may on, and it's a big machlek you go out to learn Ben Sira or not, but the Gemara keeps on saying don't learn it, and then the Gemara keeps on quoting it, which is very ironic. Call you will learn about it. Call you may on all the days of a poor man is bad. Ben Sira and Afleilis. And this is his muscle. Bishval Gagim Gaga. He can't afford to build a tall house. His houses are always end up lower than the rich houses next door. So all the water comes off the roof of the rich houses onto his house, breaks his roof. Mimta Gagim Lagaga. So the rain of their roofs come down on his roof. But Raim Hadim Karma, he can't afford to have a vineyard down at the bottom of the mountain. He has to go on the top. And it's very difficult to think. The problem is every time he brings soil up there to be able to grow good vineyards, every time it rains, from the wind, the soil blows away. It falls into the rich people's vineyards. You know, it says they bring Shnai Yom Oila Summit. Someone said Shnai Yom Oila Summit, that, you know, every day to bring the Oila Summit. So he says it, Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim begins with the word Tamid and ends with the word Tamid. The first sefer Shulchan Aruch is Shavisa Hashem Lenegdi Samid. And the last Ramah in Hichos Purim, which is the end of Shulchan Aruch, is the Toiv Leiv Mishta Tamid. So if a person every day should have both of these Tamids, he should always be happy and always think about the Eibusher. In fact, there was once a person who became a Chassid Al Rebbe. And one day he met his older Rebbe, and his older Rebbe said to him, "Why did you leave me?" He was a big man. "Why did you leave me to go to the Alter Rebbe? What did you learn about Alter Rebbe I didn't teach you?" He says, "Alter Rebbe taught me how to read machshavos of a person." He said, "Yeah? What am I thinking about right now?" Shavisa Hashem lenegdi samid. So the guy said, "Befedish nicht." That's why I left you. Okay. Yeah, good day. We'll continue tomorrow.